Staying safe online. In this lesson, we are going to cover things about online security, which includes all the information that you might give out, whether you're using social media, whether you're messaging friends, or whether you're just visiting websites. We'll also look at cyberbullying, trolling, and any other forms of communication online. In this lesson, you will be describing cyberbullying, you'll be identifying trolling, and describing the consequences of giving out personal information online. The first issue we're going to look at is cyberbullying. Now, traditionally, you might think of bullying as something which only happens in school and happens behind the bike shed. But cyberbullying is where bullying is happening on the internet, mobile phones, and any other digital devices. And it doesn't just affect people at school, it can happen for anybody. Children, teens, and adults. With children, they may feel unable to confide in adults. They may because they're ashamed, they think they're going to be judged, and quite scared of kind of the consequences of informing someone. But it's important that they do. Otherwise, that cycle will continue day after day. And there are cases where, similar to normal bullying, it has resulted in self-harm and suicide for those that are the victims of such abuse. The next thing we're going to look at is how we identify someone who is trolling. Now, trolling is a term that's given to people who visit other people's social media accounts and leave distasteful messages. Now, this kind of distasteful message might be where someone comments negatively on a personal part of someone, maybe how they look, anything like that. They might also particularly target public figures, and this is because they tend to have a large social media following, and obviously with a large social media, they're hoping that someone will respond. Now, with their hateful messages, with given to a large following, these get rebroadcast generally to quite a wider audience. And people that are following this person will tend to respond. There'll always be someone that responds, and that's exactly what a troll is looking for. They're looking for a reaction. Now, the other types of troll can be actually to cause harm. They can get pleasure, which is quite a sad thing, from upsetting people. And if they get this kind of response, unfortunately, it encourages them to actually continue with what they've been doing. So the first task I want you to complete is shown below. You need to complete this in your book. You need to draw a Venn diagram as shown below, consisting of two circles, the first which you will label cyberbullying and the second which you'll label trolling, making sure there's a section in the middle for both. You then need to place each of these statements written below into which you think is the most appropriate circle. You need to pause the video now to complete the task. As you have now completed the task, you now need to get a red pen so that you can mark the answers. Pause the video now so that you can collect a red pen. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is cyberbullying, and the first statement that goes in that is to get revenge. Someone might have feel like they've been upset and want to get revenge on that person. Second one is to feel empowered, which is all about them feeling personally quite powerful, and that might do that if they're controlling someone else by bullying them. To gain popularity, some do it just to gain, what they think is being popular by being a bully. They might do it to harass and threaten other people. It might be just purely to be offensive to someone else and humiliate them. Finally, it might be a form of intimidation, all of which will make that person feel quite empowered. Moving on to trolling, it can be a source of entertainment. That's what the trolls live for, that enjoyment they get out of causing an argument or causing offence to someone else and getting people to respond. They might do it to be offensive and argumentative, even if they don't actually believe what they're saying. If it starts an argument, they will get enjoyment out of it. They might actually scour the internet for bait, and that might end up being you. It might not be personal, it might just be for someone that they can easily offend. They might derive pleasure from just purely from annoying the hell out of others. It might, as I say, it might not necessarily be personal. It could be just attention seeking. They enjoy, that response that they get. They may feel quite powerful doing it, having that kind of, causing that kind of reaction. And it might also be a recognition thing, to get their name out there. And finally, it might, something that is in both of them, which it does, is upset the victim. If you feel you have been a victim of either cyberbullying or trolling, it's important that you know what to do. Now, the best advice, particularly for trolling, is the statement, please do not feed the trolls. If you respond, that's exactly what they're looking for, and that will just provoke them even more. And if they don't get their enjoyment, they will move on. And the second thing, if, particularly, for cyberbullying, you must report it. If, you're able to tell a family member, tell a trusted adult, if you're in school, we have the saying, tell someone you trust. And that goes for any of the teachers, form tutors, or any of your achievement coordinators. If it is through a particular social media site, there will always be a place to report it on each of the site providers. So always feel there is someone that you can go to and don't suffer in silence. So we're now going to describe the consequences of giving out your personal information online. Now, you need to be very careful when sharing your personal information and make sure that websites that you go on, you trust, because not everybody out there, unfortunately, is trustworthy, and you do need to be careful. For example, if you were to share things like your full name, your date of birth, your address, this can actually be used to steal your identity. You may have heard of the term identity fraud, where people, may use it to gain money from you, maybe starting up loans in your account, stealing from your bank account and things like that. Or it might indeed be just, might give them the ability to be able to find you in real life. If you were to, for example, post inappropriate status updates on social media, comments, or even what photos you post online, you need to understand that certain people, such as potential employers, talking in the future, might gain access to them. You have to think, do I want people to see this picture in the future? Do I want my employer to see it? Do I want my family to see it? And remember, any pictures that you post out there, as soon as you post it, you lose control over what can happen with it. So people may copy it, they may alter it, they may share it, and you will not have knowledge of who is doing that, or you will not be able to consent to it. If you're using email, instant messaging, social media, video, now you have to understand some people may not be who they claim to be. You must make sure that you know who you are talking to online. They may try and get personal information out of you. And indeed, they may ask you to do something you don't want to do that makes you feel uncomfortable. And again, someone someone you know personally shouldn't be asking you to do those kind of things. If you're giving out your email address, there's lots of websites that will ask you to give them an email address. You have to be aware that the things like spam exist. As soon as they have your email address, they might bombard you with, requests for things and ask you to click on things like prizes. And, they might try and sell you products that, the price is too good to be true. And also there's a risk of things like viruses and malware, which will cause damage to your computer and, could look at what you're doing on your computer, which obviously you don't want to have happening. The final thing you need to do is to complete the exit quiz. You will find a link to the quiz on Clash Charts. Once you have completed the quiz, you need to take a photo of your quiz for uploading. You also need to take a photo of your completed task on paper for uploading as well. Both of these then need to be uploaded onto Clash Charts in order to complete the work.